Alright, so this has been a long time coming. This is responses to Clint on my video called Who Sets Prices. Now, starts out, says, first of all, I don't think it's that easy. Your lecture is on the basis that gasoline is being bought in a free marketplace. It isn't. It's being bought in an oligopoly. Okay. Surely we can try and not drive as much. Okay, let's address the first point first. Yes. Gas is not bought in a totally free marketplace. Um, but my bigger point is that within the marketplace that exists, consumers still have lots and lots and lots of choices on driving habits and purchasing habits that would greatly affect the price of gasoline. Right now, recently it's come down from the $3.80 into my area. It came down to $3.22 and it's back up to $3.40 or so. So that range, perhaps, if everything were a totally free market, we were able to drill wherever we wanted, etc., etc. Everything was a totally free market. That range may be from $2 to $2.60, or $1.80 to $2.40, or $1.50 to $2. I don't know what the real range would be, but within the marketplace that we have, consumers have still a lot of power to change the price. It says we can try and not drive as much, but do you really think that makes a big impact? You can use public transportation and go to work, but can you use it to pick up your kid from T-ball, take a carload of groceries home, get to church, etc.? Do I really think that makes a big impact? Yes. Yes. It's very simple. Yes, it has to. In May, from May of 2007 to May of 2008, in the year-to-date difference in those months, Americans drove 9 billion less miles in May of 2008 than they do in May of 2007. Why do you think that is? 9 billion less miles. 9 billion less miles. If you look at consumption charts for the past 10 years on America, you can see years where consumption of gasoline has gone down, and it's in the years that prices are high. And so in May that happened. That trend has continued for June, July, and August. Okay, and what are we seeing? We're finally seeing gas prices stay consistently below the $4 mark for the first time in a long time. It's having an impact. It doesn't seem like it, but it's having an impact, because over the billions and the millions of dollars that are spent in the gasoline industry, okay, you may not be able to alter your consumption at all, but a huge market like the United States of America reducing their usage by even a small percentage has an effect, and we're being able to see it now that yes, it does have an effect. The other thing we talk about is public transportation. You can go, but what about T-ball, groceries, home, etc.? This is a bigger point that people don't realize. You may not be able to you may not be able to maintain the same lifestyle you enjoy right now and make alterations in these areas. But the bigger picture that people miss is that we're not paying for this oil-based product we call gasoline. We're paying for convenience. We're paying for what is called opportunity costs. And we're paying for the value of our time. If I can drive, I can get to Ardmore, using zero gasoline, but it would take me about 2 days. I could have horses and wagons, but the cost that I'm paying for gasoline is not because I value this oil-based liquid. It's because I value my time, my convenience. I'm able to live in an area that I want to, I could drastically reduce my oil consumption, my gasoline consumption, by living up there in Ardmore, being 10 or 5 miles from work, being 5 miles from trade school, and find a church up there, being 5 miles from church. Okay, but I want to go to church in Valley View. I want to live in Gainesville, and I want to make the money I make at Ardmore. So I pay the cost of gasoline as an opportunity cost to gain things that I value more than that cash money. So now you can't. You take the kids to t-ball, you take the kids to dance lessons, you take the kids to church, and it seems like you can't stop that stuff. Of course, you can stop that stuff, but you'd have to drastically change your lifestyle. But what you're paying for in gasoline is not the oil; it's for the convenience of doing all that stuff. Since there are millions of people like yourself who have no choice but to spend a couple of grand a month on fuel, and you're talking about your business, I understand that. The only way the consumer can affect the price in a free market is to choose a different product. Not altogether true. You can buy less of the same product, but you're talking about your business. But you think about your personal fuel consumption. There are ways to cut down. Uh, you know, your wife could drive an HHR that gets 30 miles to the gallon rather than the minivan that she drives that may get 22 or something like that. That would reduce your monthly fuel consumption. Uh, you know, you could spend less time taking me out on the boat in the lake, reduce consumption that way. Even just in your life, there are ways to reduce consumption that we don't want to talk about. We don't want to admit that maybe, you know, and it goes back to the opportunity cost, the convenience cost, and stuff like that. Uh, there are changes that every single one of us can make to our driving habits. Don't go out and around home. Don't be out around town and then come home and sit down and think, oh, I need to go uh, back up to the store for something. Better planning, etc., etc. We can do a lot of things. We're not strapped over a barrel like helpless little sheep that have no say in our own lives. We are we have reason, we have the capacity to think, we have choices. Although, America is becoming more and more communistic, we still have choices, choices, choices. We can conduct ourselves in any manner we please, almost, uh, but we don't. We want to do what we want to do. And so it's easy to say, oh, the old man's taking advantage of us. But we have done nothing to indicate to the old man that we want to consume less of his product. Your business, yeah, you got to do, and there are probably even things that you can do in your business to drive down fuel consumption. But let's say your business is more or less a wash. You have to use what you're using right now. There are alterations every one of us can make in our lifestyle that, when considered as a group, as 325 million people, would have a huge impact on the price of gas here in the United States. It says there is no alternative. Yeah, the alternative fuels, they stink. I agree with that. The phone industry, it had no competition. The reason big oil doesn't raise prices is because there is such a thing as price gouging, and like it or not, it's unlawful. I'm going to have to do a whole video about price gouging. Then you go on to OPEC, and I'll have to look into that more to make a educated comment on it. But those are some of the thoughts that I have on the first, let's say, 3 sections of the comments that you left. Of course we have choice in our consumption. Of course a reduction in consumption will affect the price. Of course it will. It is now. It is right now already.